Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the C Morning Show and welcome to Sports Talk. We're going to talk more about the upcoming 2024 Euro semifinals. So far, 4 nations have secured their tickets in the semifinals. They are France, who will be taking on Spain, and also the Netherlands, who will be facing England in the other semifinal bracket. So we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming matches and maybe make some predictions. So welcoming back friend of the program and also tactical analyst from Ruang Taktik, Mas Yusuf Raihan. Mas Raihan, thank you for being here.
It's always good to be back out here.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the 4 remaining teams. We have France, we have Spain, we have the Netherlands, and England. Tell me what you think of their performances so far throughout the tournament.
Yeah, I do think like out of the 4 semifinalists, the only good team, like on paper, not on paper, but performance-wise, is only Spain. I don't think that these 3 have shown their best levels in this tournament. I think it has been a pretty poor tournament.
Overall, I think, right?
Yeah, overall, in terms of entertainment as well. Because I think the best 2 teams have been Spain and Germany, in which they have already played against each other in the quarterfinals. So that's a shame that we get the real final so early in this tournament. So yeah, I think it has been pretty underwhelming for the favorites, for England, for France, and for Netherlands. So yeah, I think that Spain is the team to beat in this semifinals. Out of the 4 teams, they have played the best football.
11 goals. I mean, they're probably the only ones that have given us most of the goals that we've seen throughout the tournament.
And still 100% win rate in this tournament.
Correct.
And yeah, I think Spain is probably the best team here, but not necessarily that they will win against France, because we know France is France.
Okay, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's first peel back the layers of the Spain versus France matchup. Let's talk a little bit about coming into this match as well. We do have a couple of key players missing for Spain. And as you mentioned, France hasn't played their best, the most optimal performances yet. Do you think they can start to reach that in the semifinals?
Well, in terms of tournament football, the most important thing is not to lose, not necessarily to win, because you can win in penalty shootouts, right? So I think that France has done a really good job on that. And let's see how the game might play out here. So in terms of the strategy, it's going to be a little bit difficult. So there's a lot of things to see here. But France, they do defend in a 4-3-3. So it's a bit different from what we used to see in the World Cup, when I told you that they do defend in a 4-4-2, but now it's more of a 4-3-3. So here, Griezmann, he will play a big role, a major role, in terms of trying to cover the pivot here, Rodri. We all know Rodri is an important player for the club and country. He is probably the best player in the world currently, I think the front runner for Ballon d'Or. But now Griezmann, he will have a major role. He will be a key piece in the France defensive phase. And here I think that when France played against Portugal, they will try to press pretty, not aggressively, but their fullbacks will jump pretty high to cover the right back. But now, with the wingers of Spain here, Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal, who is always a threat, a major threat down the flanks, and they will also stay high, in which that they will keep Theo and Koundé honest.
So they won't be able to cheat off of them.
Yeah, so they won't be able to press high. So I think that the fullbacks might have a big role to play here. In terms of trying to help the attack. And here, I think that Mbappe, his defensive work rate is a bit questionable. And will he want to help out the defense right here? So I think that the right-hand side might have maybe an enjoyable night against this France side. But also, if they do want to progress the attack down the middle, then I think because they are marked pretty tightly, then I think Fabian will play a lot deeper in the sense that he will have to get out of this man covering, and yeah, maybe try to make 2v1s in the build-up phase. But that does mean that there will be less spaces, not less spaces, less bodies up front. And I think that Spain will be the protagonists here. They will have more of the ball in this game, but you know, you still can't count France out because they are defensively really solid, especially with this structure. They do not press aggressively. They will sit off and try to contain attacks, and I think that they're still also pretty dangerous in attacks actually, even though they haven't scored an open play goal.
Oh, that's very surprising.
Not at all. But when you see the, can you
move on to the next slide?
Can we move on to the next slide? Okay, so when we see that in terms of the chance creation here, we can see from the expected goals metric, and they have been the 5th best team in terms of chance creation in attack. So they're not
What's
exactly
happening here?
that.
Why are they not able to get these?
It's just a finishing issue actually. It's probably a little bit of luck as well, not going in their way. So you can see that the difference between the goals and their expected goals is
huge.
Yeah. Like they should be scoring 7 goals based on the chances they are creating, but they have only scored 3. But it's not an issue of chance creation.
Okay.
It's about the finishing. So
how much is Mbappe's injury? I mean, having to wear a mask. I know it's not on the lower extremity, but how much do you think that's affecting him in your observation?
Yeah, actually Didier Deschamps, the head coach, has mentioned it as well in the press conference that it is affecting him.
Obviously,
Obviously. So the performance, maybe Kylian Mbappe hasn't been the best in this tournament, but you know that an eye injury is a head injury is something that cannot be shaken off. Is just overnight, right?
That's true.
So yeah, I think that has really impacted France overall.
Okay.
But it's not about the chance creation, but it's just about this finishing issue.
Okay.
So maybe let's move on to the next slide. So here we'll move on to the next game, which is England versus Netherlands.
Okay.
So England is a really strange team in terms of their squad composition because they have only brought one natural fullback, left-sided fullback in Luke Shaw. But the good thing is that Luke Shaw got some minutes in the last game. I think he played like 40-ish minutes. And that is good for his fitness. And I think that reports have said that he is able to play. He is fit to start against Netherlands. And that is a major thing because when Trippier does play here, it does not look good. It does not look fluid at all. Okay. When he receives the ball out here, then his body orientation, because he is naturally a right footer, he will look up here and not here.
Yes, turning the wrong way.
Yeah, he's not turning this way, but he's always looking back. So he always plays the ball backwards, and that does kill the momentum of the attack.
That's a good point.
So maybe Bellingham having the ball here, he can give the ball through pass to Luke Shaw. That is something that Kieran Trippier doesn't offer. And also, the interesting thing about England is that they have been trying to fit in too much players that do like the ball coming into their feet. So Bellingham, Foden, Saka, there is no runners because Kane, he likes to drop deep. But when there is no runners that is going to run in behind the defensive line, it is empty here.
Right.
And that is one of the issues that England have in this tournament so far, that there's a little connection between each other, and I think
it's like a disconnect, right, between some of the players. Yeah. Okay. So again, much like France, England hasn't really. I mean, despite making it this far, we haven't seen the best England squad so far. What do you think is the biggest factor to their lack of reaching their potential best play?
So I think like the main thing is that...
I mean, for France, it's finishing, right? Clearly.
Yeah, but for England, it's about the chance creation, they have not been creating any chances because I think the squad composition, they didn't have the right balance. Declan Rice, really good player, don't get me wrong, but he is not built for like a single pivot. I mean, he's not as good as progressing the ball as someone like Rodri, and he is not as calm here as the single pivot. And a lot of times, Trippier, that curious decision to play him as a left back until this stage means that basically all England's attacks have been going through Saka, who is playing out of his mind in the last game and basically carried England to the semifinals. So,
but also a few missed opportunities from Saka as well, if I remember correctly, earlier on in the tournament, right?
Yeah, earlier in the tournament, but he proved it in the quarterfinals that he has what it takes. So let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so this is what I mentioned about England being only the 16th best team in terms of chance creation. They have only created 3.71 expected goals. So you're expected to create less than 1 goal per game. so that's really poor.
Yeah.
And here, like Trippier, a right footer playing on the left-hand side, it makes the dynamics a little bit more awkward. And also Harry Kane, he is pretty disappointing in this tournament so far.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that. And the thing is that he isn't occupying the really dangerous places, dangerous areas in the box. He likes to peel off into the, what is this?
Just outside the box.
Just outside the box, not really in advanced areas, not trying to cause chaos in the box. I think
not really providing a significant threat, I think, on the inside.
Yeah. And I think that has been one of the main issues as well for England in terms of they are not really occupying the most dangerous areas. And yeah, they haven't really found the right balance, but they have managed to get this far. And maybe thankfully as well, they are playing against someone or a team that is not exactly the best performance-wise as well in this tournament against Netherlands. And yeah, I think we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so I think that luckily that Netherlands will play in the structure in this 3-2-4-1 structure or 3-2-5, depends on how you see it. And that matches up well with England's defensive structure. So they can go straight forward, like in a man-to-man manner. So you can see all these players being attached to one player. And I do think that that gives England a little bit easier job on the defensive side of things. And you don't have to think a lot. Maybe when this number 10s or number 8 do peel off here, then he might have a job. But it's
for the most part, they can just mark.
They can just mark man to man. So I don't think it's going to be a difficult task to defend Netherlands. And also, England have been really good on the defensive side of things. I was watching the game against Switzerland for the quarterfinals, and in the defensive side of things, they were pretty impressive, I think.
Okay.
Just on the attack.
I guess that's why they've made it so far, considering how little chances they've created for themselves.
Yeah. Like in international tournament, in tournament football, the most important thing is just not to lose. You can still win in penalty shootouts, right?
Yeah.
So
which many sides have done so far in the tournament, as we saw. So what's your prediction? Because for me, let's start with England and Netherlands. England-Netherlands is a little bit tough to call for me. I mean, I'm easily going for Spain in the other semifinal, even though France will be a tough matchup. Anything can happen. But this one's a little harder to call for me.
Yeah, I do think that they are pretty same in the level. But I think talent-wise, England have the upper hand. They have players like Phil Foden, Jude Bellingham, Saka, and Harry Kane. So I think that because of that, I might go with England.
Okay. In extra time?
Yeah, most probably. Penalty shootouts as well. I
Yes,
don't know. Yeah.
possibly, very possibly.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me.
But like I think in the other semi-final, even though Spain has been really good,
You're gonna
and
go for
probably
France?
yeah the best team
Really?
so far.
Okay.
But I think I have a feeling that France, because of their heritage, tournament heritage as well, they have the
True.
experience. They do have the better players as well. I do think that France can defend well against Spain.
Okay.
And I think they can nick a win against the Spaniards.
It's perfect because I think I've got the Netherlands in extra time, and I'm going to go for Spain, winning it in regulation because they do have the goal scoring power, and I think that I like riding the hot team. So I think the team that's on fire right now, hopefully they'll be able to continue that.
Yep.
So we'll have a conversation again after the semifinals.
yeah.
It's a deal? There you go. All right, so hopefully that gave you some insight on the upcoming semifinals. Hope you're able to catch the upcoming matches later on this week, and we will see who will make it into the finals of Euro 2024. We'll continue to follow along the tournament and bring you all the updates and highlights. In the meantime, though, we're going to take one final break here on the show. We will return with some more entertainment news before we wrap things up. Stay tuned.